Namaskar and greetings from India. Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra, the Consul General of India in Sao Paulo, eminent speakers and industry leaders who are joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and pleasure for me to be welcoming you to this virtual conference on LATAM aftermarket. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra and his entire team who have helped us not only in putting up this conference, but also in organizing the LATAM Buyer Sellers Meet. As you all know, this event is from the 22nd until the 24th of September this year. And I'm very delighted that we have 24 manufacturers from India who are virtually displaying their products, and we have around 50 plus participants from various parts of Latin America who have shown keen interest in the products of the Indian manufacturers. I must, at this juncture, mention that this event is happening in the backdrop of our recovery from one of the most severest of the human crisis. So I would like to wish you all good health and prosperity. And I must mention a little bit on the Indian automotive and the auto component industry. You will be very happy to note that India is world number one when it comes to manufacturing two-wheelers. It's also world number one when it comes to manufacturing tractors. It's world number four. In fact, it's now world number five when it comes to manufacturing cars. We slipped a position because of the pandemic, and we are world number five when it comes to manufacturing of commercial vehicles. So the Indian automotive industry is a very, very vibrant industry. And the vehicle industry production in India suffered badly for last 2 years. It came down by 14% each year from 2018-19 onwards. And therefore, for the year ending March 2021, the component industry in India stood at around 46 billion US dollars. Now, we exported components worth 13.5 billion US dollars, and we imported almost a very similar number, which is at 13.8 billion US dollars. Now, the Indian auto component industry is a highly export competitive industry. The US, the North America, and the Europe are our single largest markets. And very interestingly, each of these account for 30% of our exports. We are also making big headway. Our exports are focused on largely on the OEM and the tier one business. Now the focus is also gathering strength when it comes to the aftermarket. And in that sense, I think this event is a very, very happening at a very, very opportune time. As I said, the aftermarket continues to be very, very vibrant in India. It is around 9 billion US dollars, growing cumulatively at about 6%. So we believe that the LATAM market and the Indian market and the Indian manufacturers will have a very successful engagement through this event. The government of India is also very committed to support the automotive industry, both in terms of export and manufacturing. And very, very recently, we had two major announcements. We call them the production-linked incentive schemes. So one of the schemes, which has an allocation of around $2.5 billion, is focused on supporting manufacturing of batteries. We call them the advanced chemistry cell batteries for electric mobility. And the second announcement, which happened on the 15th of September, is focused on new age technologies, including electric mobility. And the outlay here is for 3.5 billion US dollars, and the term for both the schemes is 5 years. So I believe that with a very strong support from the government, the auto automotive, both auto and the auto component industry are going to flourish. And as I said, the focus of the government is also on export promotion. So I would like to believe that our trade with LATAM will also continue to grow. Having said that, I think the stage is all set for the address of Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra. I would, before I close, I would like to wish this event great success. And now I would invite Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra, our Consul General of the Consul General of India, for his address. Let me also now spend a few minutes giving you his profile. Mr. Amit Kumar Mishra is a career diplomat and he has been our Consul General in Sao Paulo since June 2019. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 2004 and has served in Indian diplomatic missions in Egypt, in Saudi Arabia, in Afghanistan, and in Australia. He has held varied portfolios in his very illustrious career, such as political, commercial, education, culture, and many other. From 2011 until 2014, Mr. Mishra worked at the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi, looking after the India-US relationships. Mr. Mishra is a postgraduate in botany with biotechnology as his specialization. Mr. Mishra is also well versed in several languages. Mr. Mishra, may I now invite you for your address, please. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to connect with you all for this buyer-seller meet being organized by ACMA. That's Auto Components Manufacturing Association of India. Let me start by thanking ACMA Director General, Mr. Vinny Mehta, and welcoming all the Indian exhibitors who are participating in this event. As you all know that India is known for the strength of its automotive industry, but that automotive industry is so strong because it is backed by an equally strong auto components industry. Now, auto components industry is a very important component of India's manufacturing prowess. It contributes about 25% of our manufacturing GDP, creates about 5 million jobs, and ACMA is the association representing about 800 plus members from across the spectrum of producers, including Indian and foreign companies with presence in India. Now, in terms of India's exports in this sector, although majority of these exports, about 60%, go to North America and European markets, Latin America occupies an important, and I would say increasingly this importance is growing as an export destination. And within Latin America, Brazil has always occupying a key spot. It's always in the top 10 export destinations as a country, about 4% of total exports from India. In a pre-pandemic year of 2019-20, Indian exports of auto components to Brazil amounted to about $535 million. We also imported $66 million worth of auto components from Brazil. Last year, the impact of pandemic has caused negative growth in our exports. Exports came down to about $13.3 billion. But even for this pandemic year, out of $660 million worth of exports of auto components to Latin America, about 70% of these exports have come to Brazil. That's about $460 million worth of auto components. So Brazil is the most important export market for India in this segment. And this segment is critical for the aim and objective of both sides to achieve doubling of bilateral trade very, very soon. In the past 5-10 years, we have seen a steady growth in Indian exports in this segment. And I believe that today's event, this buyer seller meet, will further help us achieve increase our exports to Brazilian auto component sectors. Lastly, I also believe that beyond the trade, beyond export and import, the two countries are home to thriving auto industry, and we have a lot of potential to collaborate in terms of product development, product testing, and as the auto industry undergoes the transition of move towards say electric vehicles, or for in India there is a big drive towards use of ethanol and introduction of flex engine and flex vehicles. We have a lot of learning possibilities, collaboration possibilities, and to help and cooperate with each other to help our auto industry and auto component industry and grow stronger in coming years. Once again, my best wishes to ECMA, participating exhibitors from India and the buyers from all over Latin America for a successful buyer-seller meet here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for your address. That was indeed very, very motivating. I do believe that in times to come, the trade between India and then LATAM countries will only continue to grow. Thank you so much for being with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I now have the pleasure of inviting Mr. Hernan Quezada Oman, the president of CAREP AG from Chile, for his address. He would speak to us about the Chilean automotive industry. Welcome, Mr. Hernan Quezada Oman, for your address, please. Thank you.
Antes que nada, muchas gracias por hacernos participar en esta feria de negocios, en esta ronda de negocios de fabricantes de la India, a lo cual estamos muy orgullosos de poder estar con ustedes. Mi nombre es Hernán Quesada, soy el presidente de la Asociación Gremial de Importadores de Repuesto en Chile, que se llama CAREP, en la cual reunimos alrededor de 62 empresas, las cuales representan la parte más importante del aftermarket. Quisiera primero que nada conversarles o hablarles qué es lo que es Chile. Chile es un país de 17,5 millones de habitantes, donde tiene 6.000 kilómetros de largo, con un promedio de ancho de 145 kilómetros, un país muy angosto. En el norte de Chile es donde explotamos principalmente la minería que es el cobre, el hierro, el litio y también oro. Partes del norte de Chile donde encontramos valles que tienen agua, somos grandes productores de uva de mesa y también uva para fabricar el pisco. En el Valle Central, donde está la ciudad de Santiago, con prácticamente 8 millones de habitantes, Chile es un país que tiene 17,5 millones de habitantes, quiere decir que concentra gran parte de la población, prácticamente 50% de la población. Aquí está el área industrial, aquí tenemos el área comercial, también tenemos valles en los cuales somos productores en las cercanías del Gran Santiago, también de vino, somos grandes exportadores de vino. Después tenemos parte del sur, donde también sigue estando la parte de uva, fruta, somos grandes productores de fruta, mucha cereza que mandamos a China y a otros países, a Estados Unidos. Y en la parte del extremo sur, o parte media del sur, somos ganaderos, somos también productores de madera, en lo cual exportamos mucho materia prima de madera. Y en el extremo sur somos grandes productores de salmones. Y después ya viene la otra parte donde tenemos los campos de hielo sur, donde tenemos la Antártida. Chile es el país que tiene la ciudad más austral de Latinoamérica, Puerto Williams. Hablando de nuestro negocio, del aftermarket, hoy debemos estar más o menos en los 700 millones de dólares de importación entre productos de automóviles livianos, medianos y también camiones. Estamos con empresas mayoristas y minoristas, donde tenemos mucha actividad relacionada hoy día con los países de Asia. China ha sido un proveedor últimamente de mucha actividad con nosotros. ha estado con muchos proveedores que están trabajando fuertemente. También tenemos proveedores desde Europa, tenemos proveedores de Estados Unidos, tenemos proveedores de Brasil, de algunos países como Turquía y también, por supuesto, de India. Así que nos sentimos tremendamente halagados de que podamos comenzar, ojalá, a mejorar los negocios que hoy existen con la India y estar de la mano con ustedes. El parque automotriz nuestro, en parte de la proporción es europeo, parte es muy fuerte la parte asiática, principalmente en los últimos años China ha estado tremendamente activo con todas sus marcas en Chile. También es un parque americano, hecho en Estados Unidos, y por supuesto también representa parte del parque automotriz en menor grado, los automóviles de la India, principalmente Mahindra. Por lo tanto, indudablemente que hay oportunidades de negocio para esas marcas. Estaremos muy atentos y estaremos muy expectantes de poder estar con ustedes y vernos pronto. Muchos saludos y muy buena suerte.